Hi everyone, welcome to the 45th episode of the Zicast. As always, I'm your host Ryan Zayaks, and today I'm joined by the president of the QU Women's Club Ice Hockey Team, Gabriella Ponzo. Say hi, Gabby.
Oh, okay, hi. Hi.
And I'd like to shout out episode 31 guest Liam Chen for TDing once again. So, Gabby, I think you have a gist as to what the Zicast is all about. I get to interview my friends and get to know them. And
Yeah.
you have some really interesting stories, so I'd like to get into them. So how about you start things off by telling us a bit about yourself?
Yeah, so a little crazy. So I'm from Austin, Texas, so a little bit far.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit,
Yeah.
teeny bit.
Just a teeny bit. But no, I played hockey oh my gosh, all my life since I was literally 6 years old. It's my main thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that for, oh my gosh, I played everywhere. In Canada, I played in Dallas, everywhere. And yeah, then I came here. It's a little far away from home.
Yeah,
So
a little
it's just
colder.
A little colder, yeah.
Not as big.
No.
'Cause everything is bigger there.
Oh, yeah, no, it's insane. My high school had 4,000 people.
Hmm.
And that was insane.
Insane.
It was as big as Quinnipiac.
I bet. Can you tell me a bit about growing up in Texas?
Yeah.
Like how it differs from here as well.
Honestly, I feel there's so many stereotypes about, not only Texas, but the South. You know what I mean? Texas, in Austin, I like to say it's, cowboy California. Because in Dallas, it's very, cowboy, yeehaw. But, I mean, I didn't walk, down a dirt road and ride a horse to school. That was not really, my life.
No tumbleweeds.
No tumbleweeds, no. Especially in Austin. Austin is very, it's almost like you're still getting that vibe from California where it's, the little boutiques and, oh my gosh, Whole Foods is from Austin.
Wow.
Have you been to Whole Foods?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Liam and I have been in Los Angeles for the QNLA program,
Oh,
so we know
yeah.
the bougie land.
Yeah, that's
So-
the bougie land.
Interesting.
Yeah. That's the number one thing right now. Oh my gosh, it's all the Austin people complain about. It's everyone from LA is moving here. Everything's getting so expensive, but it was honestly so much fun. I really, if I could have stayed, I would. But definitely I needed to branch out and leave a little bit to go kind of with my major and still play hockey and everything. But it was great. It was nice and mild.
Yeah.
The temperature was 70 all year. So yeah, not used to the cold at all.
Yeah, very much so. That's another thing about California is the weather is always consistent. And it's interesting to hear that about Texas as well. And can you tell me a bit more about the culture contrast between Texas and the South and then up here in the Northeast?
Yeah, honestly, I was very shocked coming up here because Texas, I feel up here I've had to, kind of find, in Texas, everyone's hi, how are you? It's everyone's very sweet.
Like
and,
the Southern hospitality?
Yeah, it's very, very much a thing. I can go to Starbucks, they'll be hey, honey, what do you want? Here's a free cake, puck love. Great. But, up here, I'm, scared. I'm oh, my God. People, you have to, find, the really nice people, but some people are just not. It's just very different. So I feel in Texas, people aren't very outwardly rude. I'd say they just. It's still very Southern hospitality. Yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, that kind of stuff. I still remember my first week here. I remember I said thank you, ma'am, to one of the dining hall workers, and someone looked at me I was crazy, and I was guys, it's manners. You don't think you have that up here.
Yeah, very much so. The New Yorkness bleeds over of the very, I'm walking here, very rushed, where I feel similar to California, from the gist I'm getting from you, it's Texas is much more patient. And
our driving
laid
is
back.
so great. We get to go 80 miles per hour, but it's so nice, and I like it. I don't know. You don't see no one's flipping you off when you're driving. This is not the vibe, but yeah, it's definitely. It's a lot more patient, kind. It's almost too nice. I remember going back after my first, I think it was Thanksgiving break. I went home and I was refreshed. I was oh my God, everyone's so nice. Everyone these people are nice now. This is crazy.
Yeah, you really don't miss home until you go away and
exactly
then and feel that. I remember this jogs my memory from class because we had a class together, which is where we met. I remember you mentioning Rodeos.
Oh my gosh, I love the Rodeos. I actually went to the Houston Rodeo. I mean, I think it was for spring break because I kind of had oh my gosh, it was so ridiculous. My mom was let's not go anywhere. Let's just have an Austin at home because you've missed home all year. I'm okay. And so literally, like, I went to the rodeo. It was at the Houston Texans, the football team, their stadium. And it's insane. It's like
NRG Stadium?
Yeah, it's NRG,
yeah.
It's literally like thousands of people. And it's like literally packed, like all these floors. And like the rodeo is so much fun. It's so dangerous. It is ridiculously dangerous. It should not be a thing, but it's so much fun. Like you'll watch like people put their little kids on sheep and just tell them to like run. Like basically you put a little kid with like a hockey helmet on. It's like all rusted and broken and who knows what. And just like say go. And the sheep sprints with your child and they just try to hold on. And they like tumble off. It's like very, like it's funny to watch, but it's like, oh, cool. But I love it. I definitely do.
Very, very different from what we're up to. Have you ever participated in one?
Sadly, I've not. I really wish I did as a kid. I would have loved to do one of those little sheep. But no, my parents are from the Northeast.
Interesting.
So my dad's from New York City. My mom's from Boston. And so my dad, basically, we kind of ended up in the South because he's like a neuroradiologist. So he went for residency. But no, so they didn't really put me on a sheep or my brother. They were like, no, it's kind of... We want you to be okay, kind of thing. Like, let's not have you get a concussion at, like, 5.
Yeah. I was going to say, because you look very Jersey. Yeah. That's why I thought until you mentioned Austin, then, like, it reminded me. Because you got the bling, the very Italian presence.
Yeah.
So that's why I was thinking Jersey. But, yeah, I mean, you being a hockey player, I feel like that in the rodeo, like that, like...
Yeah, like, kind of meshes together, yeah.
It does mesh together in a way. And you also mentioned... playing in Canada for hockey, like what was your experience like doing that?
Yeah, oh my gosh, it was so cool. So basically, it's crazy, especially because I played AAA hockey, which is kind of like the highest level like youth hockey you can play. And so my team was out of Dallas, and obviously there's not many AAA teams around us. Like hockey isn't that popular. Like I had to drive 3 hours from Austin to Dallas every like 2 days to go practice and play, and it was crazy. I had to like leave school my senior year. But basically, we would play in Canada all the time. And so we went there, and it was so cool. It was like, so incredibly cold. I cannot even explain it to you. But it was so cool. Especially going there and seeing all, like... We went to, like, the Hockey Hall of Fame and all this. And it was so cool.
Yeah.
It was, like, insane.
I bet especially for you, like, it was definitely really, really cold. Like, what are some interesting, like, cultural things you experienced? Because I feel like... people, I mean, obviously the Canadian stereotype is that they're very nice. I feel like that sort of tracks with what you kind of described Texas like.
Yeah, no, honestly, it was great. My team loved it. But it was funny because you could tell, like, that we were the Texan team. Because everyone else had, like, nice jackets. They were nice and warm. And, like, oh my gosh, I remember, we were shivering.
Yeah.
Like, we were walking out of the rink, like, literally still shivering. But we were having the time of our lives. We went to, like, Tim Hortons. It's a big, like, hockey thing because they have it in Canada everywhere. And it was great. Like, everyone's really nice. And, oh, my gosh. I remember it was so stupid, but it was so funny. We literally ended up, like, beating a team in semifinals in, like, a tournament. It was just, like, big tournament. Everyone wanted to win. And literally, like, 2 girls ended up, making a TikTok with us afterwards. Like, me and my friend. Just casually after we just, like, beat them. And they were just, like, so nice. And I was like, oh, my God. This is great. Like, I still have it in my camera roll. I just keep it because I think it's, like, funny. But I was like, wow. What a great experience, but I feel like that's kind of, oh my gosh, girls hockey is a bit rough too. So especially because we would play up here in like New York and Boston, and oh my God, teams did not react that way if we beat them, and no, we would not react that way either.
Bit more of a grudge match, as they say.
Yeah.
And you say hockey's brutal, like kind of go into the details of that.
Yeah.
From
oh
your
my
experience.
gosh. Oh my gosh, I think I'm on my. Oh, this is so bad. I think I'm on my 5th concussion, maybe 6th.
Yeah, speaking to a former football player, I know the, I know the feeling.
Oh yeah, no, I've had. Oh my gosh, I think like my senior year we played. I mean, because we would play like only. My coach's philosophy was like, let's only play the top 5 teams in the nation, because we were like 15th to like 20th, like we were kind of in that range. But he was like, no, only top 5. And so we would play in like insane teams. Like I'm playing against this like 6'3" Canadian girl. I'm like, I can't do anything. I'm like 5'2". Like what am I gonna do? So I get like knocked around. But oh my gosh, my senior year, I think I ended up with 2 major concussions. I think I tore my ACL, but it was a partial tear, and then I broke my foot.
Damn.
So it was a lot together, but it's like the hockey player mindset is just like play through it. Like my coaches were like, no, you can go to the doctor in, 4 weeks once we're done with tournaments. I was like, oh, great. But I remember I literally ended up breaking, it was like weird, like the top of my foot, like I fractured something there. And he was like, no, just wrap it. So I ended up playing on it for the next like 4 weeks. And then turns out I come back. And I go to the doctor later and they're like, yeah, you broke your foot and it didn't heal right. But you just have to deal with chronic pain for like a year. And I was like, okay, can't do anything about it. But thankfully it's gone away now. But
I know the struggle very, very much so. And if you want to be the best, you have to beat the best. However, the best hit very hard. I realized that from my experience too. Where does a lot of those injuries come from? Like, I don't really watch hockey that normally. I know like checking. Yeah. Is that kind of where like the bulk of the contact comes from?
Yeah. So it's funny. So in girls hockey, we actually don't have checking. It's just been a thing forever. Like, it's like kind of like the controversy now. They're trying to like bring more checking because we have contact but not like full checking. I think because they're like girls can't hit kind of thing. But it mostly comes from like, it's worse because in men's hockey the injuries come from like checking and that kind of stuff. But for us it comes from like dirty plays. Like I think I tore my ACL because some girl like, oh my gosh, she like basically grabbed my leg, and I ended up like falling really hard on my knee and ended up like partially tearing it. And oh my gosh, but it's mostly just like from dirty contact, bad hits, like not fun. And then this story still humbles me, but it's kind of cool because the girl's like gonna be famous someday. But basically we played against this one team, and the captain of that team was like, oh my gosh, I think she was also the captain of like the USA national team. Really? Yeah. So she was like crazy good at hockey. And she was also like, her family, like I think like her brother is in the NHL, and then her sister's like also playing D1 hockey in college, and crazy. But she ended up like taking a slap shot. I blocked it, broke my foot, and it just, it's rough.
From the slap shot?
Yeah, because the puck, oh my gosh, sometimes they can get up to like, we had like 80 to 100 miles per hour, and it's
probably fun. Like a brick too, hitting you.
Oh yeah, it's like a frozen brick, yeah. But it's basically like, if it hits you in the wrong spot, it's tough.
Like where there's a break in your padding?
Yeah, because I mean, we get hit all the time. I mean, with pucks and everything, like it's terrifying to get like a puck shot at you like 100 miles per hour. Like our coach, I bet. Oh yeah, our coach would like yell at us if we didn't. I remember my senior year, but oh my gosh, it was like the one time like if you got hit in the arm and like it missed it, you'd have a bruise for like 3 weeks, and I just got a little unlucky.
Like even falling on the ice, like how does that feel?
Oh my god, not great.
Not great.
Really not great. Really, I mean like it depends how you fall, cause like, okay, this is my like, I haven't understood this for like years. Like I don't know why we don't have it, but hockey, like our big like shorts and everything, like they don't have pads like on your butt. They don't have butt pads. There's just no padding back there, and that's the number one place you fall. Just no. It's like you have it on the side of your thighs and like on your like front of your thighs, everything, and literally everywhere else, but like not like on your butt at all. I do not know why. It's like so stupid. I mean like it probably is for some reason, but like when you fall, like it hurts. Like if you fall on your hip, like yeah, you're feeling that for like, you're feeling that for a little bit. Like you're gonna have the ice sitting down, not moving for a little bit, but especially when you move, like I skate really fast, not to like toot my own horn, no, but like I think it's just I'm so light, but I skate so fast, so when I fall, like I fall, and it like hurts, and like it just, you gotta be tough as a hockey player. That's what they always tell you, is like get up, you're fine, don't cry about it.
Maybe the butt pads would like look funny, but I feel like you'd rather be protected.
I know, like I feel like they probably could like help a little bit. I feel like they gotta implement that. That should be a thing. We should write like type a little letter to Bauer and tell him. Yeah. Like this hurts.
Add the BBL pads.
Exactly. I need some BBL pads so I can stop getting bruises.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And talking about hockey very well leads us very well into our first topic, which is the process of founding the women's club ice hockey team and your goals with it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. This is a crazy story. But I'll start with kind of where I was the end of my senior year. I ended up committing to University of Michigan to play hockey there. And oh my gosh, that was like my dream school. Like I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna go there. It was like literally freezing cold, like dying when I was there, but I was like so starstruck because it's like one of the most prestigious like hockey schools, and it's such a great school, and Big Ten, all this, everything. And so I ended up coming there, and then particularly in my club, it was kind of very like hockey first, not really focused on academics. It's kind of just on that like how high can you go, NCAA mindset, like. So I wasn't really even thinking about academics. I'm like, I'll figure that out later. Like, let me just figure out where I can go for hockey. Ended up getting to the end of my senior year, and I was kind of looking into it a little more. I was talking to the coach about, you know, where I like how I applied, like kind of where to apply and that kind of stuff, and like what major I was specifically going to, my classes. And they basically ended up telling me like, you're gonna go undecided and like take, because they don't have a school of comm at all. University of Michigan just doesn't have any school of comms. They're just like, you can take like these classes that kind of are like film classes, but like not really, and then like basically like hope it kind of leads you down that track, but it just wasn't it wasn't gonna happen. So at that point, like, I would like to say it was my decision, sorry, but my parents forced me. They're like, no, we're not paying for it, go to school for school. So basically I was kind of like stuck, because I didn't really, it was bad, I didn't really plan well to where like I should go next. Like, I was just like, okay, I'm committed, cool. But my mom actually made me apply to Quinnipiac, because she was like, okay, backup school, they have a great program for sports broadcasting, go there. My cousin went here too, so just like, okay, cool, go. So I applied. I ended up coming here with kind of the idea of like, I'll get my prereqs out of the way, kind of more of the comm classes, then go to Michigan. But for my first year, I was like, okay, well, if I'm going to come here, I want to play hockey. And so I actually ended up like, at the time, it was Mike Medina, kind of the director of recreation. I had like Zoom calls with him, all this crazy stuff. And basically, sorry.
No, don't worry about it.
I'm like dying. But basically, he was like, yeah, just come to Quinnipiac. We'll like set you up with that team. Like, you'll be fine. I was like, oh, great. Sounds great. Get to Quinnipiac. Not really the story. Turns out he was kind of a little bit like exaggerating kind of the like possibility of making a team. And so that was a little bit of an issue. So I ended up like, oh my gosh, emailing Judy, emailing like Tom Ellett, and this happened for, oh my gosh, all throughout first semester. I was like sending emails, like advocating for myself, like pushing for this team and everything, because I just wanted to play hockey so bad. Like, I honestly did not know what to do with myself without hockey. Like, it was crazy. I mean, I ended up like joining a sorority, which I thought I would honestly never do, but thank God. I don't know what I would have done. Like, I'm like, I just like found something to do, because I was like, I don't know. It's like a whole like identity thing where it's like, oh my gosh, what do I do now? Like, this has been my life for like, oh my gosh, like past, I guess 13 years now. And so now it's like, because my senior year of high school, I like left my high school just to like make it to Dallas for practices and AAA and all this like crazy stuff. But basically, none of that worked. They kept telling us, like, they kind of kept sending me to like different people to email, like, oh no, email them, like kind of through like rabbit holes, and kind of the consensus of like, there's no money. They kind of just left it at that. And do you know Maeve Campbell?
Yes, yeah.
Yes. So she ended up being in, I think it was, I can't remember which class it was. I think it was Comm 130, the one where it's kind of like setting up like, it's like I forget what it's called now. It's kind of like setting up like handshake and all that.
Yeah.
I think that was Comm. Maybe. I think it was visual design. I don't. It's one of the comms. It's one of them.
Yeah.
But basically, she's in my class, and they're asking like, okay, what do you want to do? And like, kind of, what do you do at Quinnipiac? And I was like, oh, you know, I'm starting this hockey team here, and because everyone asked me, you know, the same question of like, why are you here? Like, because we go around the room, and obviously, as freshmen too, we're like, okay, where are you from? Da da da. And I'm like, yeah, I'm from Texas, and obviously, I get questions from the teachers of like, okay, so why are you here? Because obviously, we're not like UConn, where it's like huge school. Like, it kind of makes, you know, more sense. But basically, she ended up being in that class, so she came with me, and she was like, oh my god, it's so cool, like, I want to like help start a team. And so she did. And then one of my good friends, Carissa, she's also, I think she's in media studies, I think, Com 2. She's in Com 2. And we ended up coming together, and that's when we were like really, really pushing for it. We met with like, oh my gosh, we met with Tom Ellett and all these people, and we got sent through like so many rabbit holes. It's ridiculous. Like, we had to start this club, Quinnipiac Club Sports Expansion, which we were all like, it was funny, we're like tri-presidents of it. But basically, through that, we ended up having to like advocate for like other club sports to be started. Like, we had to like go around campus, and we had like flyers, and like we had to interview people and say like, hey, like, we just got 75 signatures that people want, like, you know, a hockey team, like club hockey team, like, and like this much for basketball, this much for, oh my gosh, I think we had like swimming and golf, and I don't think it was golf, I think it was like boxing, like it was just crazy stuff. And we brought that to Tom Ellett, and it ended up being a thing of kind of like, we had this meeting, the presidential suite, which I didn't know was in the library. I had no idea. But basically, we had to meet with him. We showed him like all our data, and basically it was the same thing again. Just we don't have any money. And for us, I feel like, especially like being a woman, like kind of in like college and all these sports, like I feel like especially in hockey, you hear a lot of like Title IX stuff, because that's kind of law where it's like equal representation. And so basically, it's not. We didn't really want to bring it up because like. I don't know. We won't want to say, like, we're going to sue you guys. Like, But basically, we kind of brought it up and said, well, I think this might be against, like, Title IX. And we're not really sure, but, you know, we read up on it and all this. And eventually, Tom Ellett was like, okay, we'll check on it. We'll see with our lawyers. You know, this is against Title IX. And we get a Zoom call 2 weeks later. They're like, hey, you got a team. I'm like, oh, great. Like, this is great. So we ended up actually founding Women's Club Hockey and Women's Club Basketball. And so it was really cool because it wasn't only victory, like, for us, but it's also, like, for basketball and that, like, community of girls actually wanted to, because we had these kind of, like, representatives in our little, like, club sports expansion, people that just wanted to do other sports, and they were really excited for it, so I was really happy they got it too. But it's been crazy because we actually didn't get the team until May. So this was, like, a full year since I originally started it and was told, like, yeah, just come to Quinnipiac, get 5 girls, we'll start a team. And basically, we had to set up everything. Like, not really much. Like, we had help, like, through, like, John Summers. He's great. We work with him all the time. But it was so hard. It was like, okay, well, I don't know what to do with myself. Like how do I, you know, find a company, make jerseys, like, all this crazy stuff. We had to, like, figure out, like, our tryouts, how much, like, dues and all this kind of stuff. And we're sitting here and we're like, we're fully, like, sophomore comm students. How are we going to figure this out? And basically, like, we ended up reaching out to, like, other club sports presidents and honestly working through it. I'm, like, proud of us. I don't know how we did it, but we brought it all together. And yeah, so we had tryouts last month. And so we have our team nice and together, and we just played Assumption College. So we played them. It was our first game. And it was honestly really cool. I remember, like, I was emotional after. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I did this. Like, this is crazy. Because, I mean, I remember a year ago, like, because even it didn't feel real until it actually is real now. I feel like it's more of an idea of, like, okay, there's a team now. But then especially now that, like, we're playing games, we're practicing all the time. Like, we have, like, team gear, team jerseys. It's like, oh my gosh, like, we did this. This is crazy.
Yeah, you did what you had to do. You stood
exactly.
on business.
I did stand on business. And I got that team.
Was able to make I think one of the most special things in the world is creating something out of nothing.
Yeah.
And for you to be able to do that for both women's ice hockey and then women's basketball.
Yeah.
Is very, very poignant and very, very profound. And I think that's just incredible. At the time of this recording, you played the first game. You'll probably play like 20 more by the time this comes out.
Probably.
But I also want to ask, like, so what's really, like, moving forwards? Like, do you think you'll be playing colleges that are nearby Connecticut, or do you think you'll be, like, branching out farther along the country?
So kind of where we're at right now is, because obviously we've been working a lot with, like, Director of Recreation, like Director of Club Sports. We work with them all the time. And so basically our idea for this year and kind of what they, like, wanted us to do was basically not join a league yet, because they want to kind of, like, get a league that, you know, will give us almost give us like a discount to join like their league and kind of see like where the best pricing is, because obviously once we join the league, we can't. I mean, it's very difficult to then leave and then find another league to join. And so this year we're just kind of like reaching out to teams and just kind of scrimmaging exhibition games. So we played Assumption, and oh my gosh, we have some cool ones. So we actually have Boston College coming down to play us at the Bank. So that'll be really cool. It's November 3rd. So we're playing them, and then we're playing like, I think we're playing, I'm trying to think now. Like obviously we're playing Sacred Heart. I think we're playing Connecticut College and Fairfield, and I think a couple nearby, but oh my gosh, we have so many scrimmages I can't even keep count. I mean, we really thought we were going to have like 2 scrimmages the entire like year, but at this point we have like so many. It's crazy. Like we have like, oh my gosh, we have 2 in one weekend to where we're actually traveling to Springfield College. I think the 25th. So we're traveling there, and then we're coming back, and then we're playing a different team on the 27th at home. So it's crazy. It's really cool, though, definitely playing all these teams and kind of all around, because obviously some are local, and it'll be fun to, like, you know, play Sacred Heart, kind of stick it to them, and hopefully win. And then obviously play, like, Boston. I'm so excited for Boston College. I can't even tell you. That's going to be so, like, crazy, especially playing, like, at M&T Bank. And then there's just a couple, like, obviously we're in contact with, like, UMass and, like, UNH, and we're kind of, like, talking to all these colleges, see who we can play, who wants to play us, all this great stuff. Like, we're playing WPI, and so that'll be cool. We're playing them, like, oh my gosh, like 3 times, I think. They're just like, yeah, we have open spots. I'm like, okay, come play us. Let's get some games. But, yeah, it's pretty cool. But with this team, I just hope, like, because I know you asked me earlier with kind of, like, my goals for it. I don't know. It's crazy because I definitely want this to kind of, like, I want it to stay kind of the same kind of level. Like, after I graduate, I want this to continue to be a team and, like, a strong, team organization. And especially because, so at home, oh my gosh, hold on. So I'm trying to, like, remember what I was going to say. Yeah, so at home, like, I work with the girls club. Like, I think it's the Girls Hockey Club of Austin. And so that's for, like, young girls, and I've been mentoring in that for, oh my gosh, the past 4 years. And these girls, like, I remember me growing up, especially in Austin, there's not a lot of hockey. There's, like, it's kind of only, like, one boys team, and it's not really, it's like a AA team, AA single A. And so for me growing up, they never let girls on the team. No matter how good you are, no matter, like, how much bigger you are or how much better you play, like, they were not going to let you on just because you're a girl. And this, like, happened my whole entire life. So I ended up actually playing house league until I was, I think, 12. And that's when I went to go play in Dallas. And it was, like, basically I felt like I did not have, like, that many opportunities, and it just felt so alone and awful. And it was great because, I mean, as the times change, and obviously now it's 2024 and a lot of things are different, and now they have, like, these clubs, and these girls are obviously playing on those teams now, and they're excelling on those teams, and I could not be prouder. So I've been mentoring kind of in that, because that's, like, just for girls. And so they just come together, everything, and it's really rewarding to see those girls, like, they'll call me, like, oh my God, like, and these girls are, like, they're small, and they're really cute. Like, one girl that I mentor, she's 12. I've been mentoring her since she was, like, oh my gosh, 7. It's been a long, long time, because I've known her for forever. And she called me the other week. She's like, oh my God, like, I made the AAA team. Like, I'm so happy. Like, she just was, like, over the moon. And I really just want to, like, have this team stay here. I think especially because the way we got it, we kind of pushed for it. And I hope that it's still strong and still is providing the opportunity for, like, women to play hockey. Especially because, like, I don't want that. Like, I want to keep that here. Because it's so important to me, because especially seeing these young girls, like, I don't want to see, you know, I remember how it felt when I was crying when I was young, when it's like I'm being told, you're a girl, you can't play. Like, you're a girl, no, sorry. Like, your name got taken off the list before you even showed up. Like, I don't want any girl, like, to feel that. I just want this, like, to stay as an opportunity for young women. Like, I remember I had 2 girls from my old organization. They're goalies now. They're in, like, 19U, and they're, oh my gosh, I don't even know if they actually look through the account and see that it was me who was president and that I played for the organization, but they're like, oh my God, like, I really am interested in like this organization. Like, I'm so happy that y'all made it this year. Like, yada, yada, yada. And it's so cool to see that, like, now this opportunity is here and, like, I brought it here. Because honestly, I was so defeated, especially at the beginning of last year. Like, I fully gave up. Like, I put my transfer into Michigan early, and I was like, okay, I'm leaving. Like, I can't do this. And it honestly would have been such a wrong decision. I mean, I'm so happy that I'm here, and I couldn't be happier with it. But I don't know. I feel like I've been so big on that and so big on, like, women's opportunities, especially throughout my life, especially kind of through what I've been through and kind of how I haven't had those opportunities. And obviously, boys are mean. Boys are mean. They're not nice. And so, like, especially when I was playing with the boys when I was younger, they weren't nice. And it was crazy. But I ended up actually being, like, the only girl my age group to ever play AAA. And so it was really cool. But it was just, it's crazy. But I just really hope the team kind of, like, this opportunity stays. And it's not something that goes away after, like, we graduate. And especially kind of that. And then I hope just, honestly, that we just keep branching out and getting stronger and playing more teams and winning some games. I'm excited. I'm just hoping we do really well this year and just honestly just have fun. So I feel like a lot of girls on this team, a lot of them are, like, juniors and sophomores and but mostly freshmen. I won't lie. It's a very freshman, like, heavy team, but that's mostly because, like, it was kind of brought up more to freshmen, like, orientation, stuff like that. But they've, like, been wanting to play hockey again for so long. And even if we suck and we're, like, losing 9-0, like, I'm still having fun. And I hope that we just, like, have a good year. And this is something fun we can do, and it's not more of, like, okay, now I gotta go hockey. Like, they're not, like, upset with it, if that makes sense.
You're a trailblazer. And kind of here, you found this sort of higher calling than I feel like you might not have felt at Michigan, if that makes sense. So I think everything happens for a reason, and I think that's why you're still here doing the things that you're doing. And it's great that the team kind of gets to prove themselves against these other schools in these scrimmages, because of course Quinnipiac has this, like, hockey aura.
Oh yeah.
So you get to show that even this club team can kind of carry that too.
Yeah.
And kind of bring that Bobcat, that boomer spirit
exactly
to these other schools.
Yeah.
And especially with what you're doing with the team through kind of creating the look of the team and everything. I'm sure that's very helpful as a comm student, where you could really get into things like helping businesses market things or helping their advertising. Cause I feel like there's a great correlation in what you're doing.
There definitely is.
Do you feel like there is?
I feel like there is, definitely. I feel like, especially because we've had to, like, market this for so long, especially through, like, our original club, like Quinnipiac Club Sports Expansion. Like, we had to push so hard, and oh my gosh, it was honestly, like, a cool, like, it was painful, like, it was a lot of, like, getting told no to your face, like, 20 times in a row, and it was hard to, like, keep pushing. But it was, like, it honestly was really cool, and it kind of relates, like, what people want to do, especially with, you know, my friend Carissa, because she's, like, a co-founder. Like, she's kind of trying to go into, like, the social media aspect, and we were pushing, like, on our Instagrams, and we were making flyers, and we were posting them around campus, and we were, like, making all these spreadsheets, and, like, doing the data, and, like, doing Excel sheets on, like, the data on, you know, who they are, this and that, their email, kind of their demographic of, like, so you could prove, like, you know, this many freshmen, this many sophomores, juniors, like, who is it kind of relevant to? And so I thought it was really cool, because I feel like something I can actually, like, bring into, like, my life, especially with, like you said, like, marketing for businesses and all this kind of stuff. And it was cool. I'm definitely glad it's over. Definitely glad that we have the team now and it's over. But no, it's cool. I mean, we still do it, especially with our Instagram and all this kind of stuff. And it's cool. It definitely is, like, creating all the little graphics and using Canva. And oh my gosh, shout out Kent Golden, using my visual design to, like, help, like, design little, like, Instagram things. And it's cool. It definitely is.
Yeah. Visual design is everything.
I've
learned from my time trying to kind of market things. And of course, there's things more important and meaningful than a resume, but what you're doing is also an incredible resume builder to show that I started this thing, that I created it, and I sold it to other people and experienced the no's and still persevered and found a way to get things through. And I think this tracks very well with what you're trying to do as a journalism student. But of course, you started as a film student. So can you walk me through that process?
Yeah. So honestly, I mean, like we were talking about before, I mean, I was fully booked. I was like, God, I'm like, Michigan, yay. I honestly didn't even put that much thought like into kind of like my applications for the school, especially like Quinnipiac. I just wasn't like on my radar at all. It just really wasn't. And so basically ended up being a situation where I was just like, film looks cool. I kind of talked to Quinnipiac. They're like, because I want to do sports broadcasting, and it's not really like of course there is now. There's sports communications now, which there's literally a banner for it right there. Very jealous of. I literally had to do something for like my journalism class like on it, and I was like, wow, I'm like jealous. Like first the Grove last year, and now the new freshmen now get that, but basically
it's becoming like Austin. It's becoming bougie.
I know, it's getting bougie here, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is crazy. But basically they didn't have like a direct like sports broadcasting major, so they were like, oh well, you can do film, you can be in front of a camera, and I was like, oh cool. And I feel like I definitely got the most out of that. My first semester, I did a lot of, like, on-camera stuff, and I was an anchor for my classes. We were, like, working in the studio, and I had to practice, like, reading off teleprompters, all that good stuff. And I got a lot of, like, good role for, like, a lot of good tape that I can use, especially because one of the best advice I've gotten from, because there's a sports broadcaster. It's just so goofy. He's in my neighborhood. And so basically, like, my mom knows him from just, like, literally walking our dog. But one of the best advice I've gotten from him is like build up tape so you can show, especially if you want to do like sports broadcasting. And it was cool. I mean, I really did like it, but I always felt like out of place because I feel like some of the classes like taking like single cam, that kind of stuff, I was like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing. Like I didn't have an eye for it. I didn't really have like any like honestly didn't really have any skill for it, or like the right, like, creativity, that kind of stuff. And I never really knew what I was doing. But basically I was going through it, and then my second semester, at that point I was really like, okay, this like isn't what I want to do. I was like, okay, I need to like figure out a different way to like kind of get to like my path. And ended up being that one of my friends, Rocco, ended up being like, I'm going to switch majors to journalism. And I remember I took Comm 140 with Sarah Silver, and basically she was like, you should switch to journalism. And I was like, okay, cool. And honestly, like, I couldn't be happier that I did. I think definitely, like, because I always had the idea of journalism being like, oh my God, there's a bunch of writing. It's not what I want to do. Like, I don't want to be writing articles. I want to be like in front of a camera. And so I think it was really cool because I got everything I wanted out of film. And now that I'm in journalism, I'm kind of getting the other side of that where, this semester I'm taking, like, news writing and, like, broadcast news writing where I have to, like, actually talk into a camera and, like, create all these different stuff and, like, obviously, like, write, like, 4 teleprompters and all this cool stuff. And, again, it's not exactly what I want to do, but especially next semester I can start going into, like, the broadcasting and that kind of stuff. And I joined QBSN, which is cool.
Perfect fit. Yeah.
Perfect fit. Yeah. Honestly, I don't know why I didn't last year. I think I was so busy with Phi Sig. I was like, oh, I'm going to transfer anyway. It's fine. Like, I don't need to join it. And I remember being told, like, no, like, join it. Like, you need to. Like, you need to join it. And so this year I did, and it's cool. Like, I feel like I finally actually am, like, doing stuff for my major. So I'm very, like, more, like, at peace. But I definitely, like, I'm still a film minor. So I'm definitely still getting kind of, like, went up for the program. And I'm thankful for the program because especially what I learned, especially I feel like those are useful skills, especially, like, if I'm interning somewhere. I mean, we all know that, like, you're not always going to get exactly what you want if your internship. Like, you could be, like, doing, who knows, like, behind the camera stuff when you want to be on the camera, or doing, like, audio stuff when you want to be, like, doing the switcher, something else in the studio. Like, it's just kind of, like, whatever you kind of get. And so I feel like it's very useful because I now have, like, all these skills that, like, I know with, like, Premiere and all this kind of stuff. And I feel like I got everything out of it, and now I feel like I've squeezed, like, the last drop out of it. And so now in journalism, I'm kind of really excited for that.
Yeah. Swiss Army knife cut the hardest. That's a phrase I'm going to coin, even though that's probably not true. And what I mean by that is that being well-rounded, like, nothing really beats that, because if you can show that you know multiple different things, it could get you in multiple different places.
Yeah.
And then that can help you build up. And especially being a film student and now like transitioning into being more of like an on-camera broadcaster, I feel like you'll know what a camera looks for, if that makes sense. So I feel like having that knowledge is so very important, even though you've kind of are finding your groove more, so to speak. And I think that that's very vital as you move forwards. But moving forwards in the show, I like to get into some more like interesting personal things. So what are some things that people don't know about you?
Oh, I'm trying to think about it now. I feel like I already talked about kind of all of it, but I don't know. So I have an older brother. So he's, oh my gosh. So if you think I'm crazy from here, he's in Florida. So we both went way far away. And so it's funny because he's doing aerospace engineering, which is like crazy rocket science.
Yeah, literally.
And it's literally literally rocket science.
Yeah.
And so he's like loving it down there, and he's kind of like my quirky older brother, and he loves that. But it's funny because he loves the cold. He loves it, and he's on Daytona Beach, and he has not been on the beach once. I mean, now he's home because of the hurricane. Yeah. Which I'm so jealous of, because my parents were like, "Oh no, your brother's coming home. No, we can't bring you home, but your brother's gonna be here." I'm like, wow, like thanks for telling me. This is like great. Like I need to know that. But I think kind of go off, like my parents are very, like my whole family's here, which is really cool. And I think this kind of part of like another piece of why I'm here, because my cousins live like, I think one of them lives like 20 minutes away, the other lives like maybe an hour. And so we're very close, and like my grandma lives in like New York City. My uncle and the rest of my family, like they're in like upstate New York, and so it's kind of cool, like all being like close together. And so it's really cool. But because a lot of people also ask me like, okay, it's kind of going like, why I'm here? Like my family's like around the corner. Like my cousin went to Quinnipiac, and she loved it so much. Like she adored it. But I just think get more into kind of my life at home kind of before Quinnipiac, because I feel like that's, I guess, the craziest part of it. Yeah. But no, I basically like, oh my gosh, I was everything as a kid. Like I played so many sports. It's insane. And so basically I like rode horses, and then I got into hockey because my brother wanted to do it. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to copy you. And it was crazy. So I basically played in Dallas, and I would just go up on the weekends, every weekend. I didn't really have like a normal high school experience. And I feel like that's kind of my biggest kind of, like, I guess, separation coming from like high school to college. And like a lot of people here, like I didn't have like that big friend group and all this kind of crazy stuff. And out of high school, all I have is like my best friend from my high school, and then I had like my whole hockey team, and I have my network of friends like from that. But honestly, like, I didn't like go to a homecoming. I didn't go, like, I barely made it to my own prom. It was crazy because my senior year I ended up having to do online school for I think the first semester, until I got committed to Michigan, because it was just like we were doing tournaments weekend after weekend after weekend. So it was like, but it was more like the weeks. So basically it would be like Wednesday to Sunday we're going to Wisconsin, and then turn around, we're leaving on Tuesday for Michigan, and then we're going to Minnesota, and it was crazy. And so that was it was fun, I won't lie, it definitely was very fun, but the classes were not fun online. They were definitely not, because I'm going to UT High School, which is, it's a really cool program. It's just like just for athletes, but it was like crazy. But yeah, so coming here, it was like so much a different experience. Like it honestly really was, especially like I was so like dead set on, I think my whole life was hockey at that point, that I didn't even really realize like, oh my god, there's like more to life. Like this is crazy. I guess my number one thing, like I guess a lot of people don't know, is like, I don't know, like I feel like I'm experiencing like life for the first time. Like I didn't go out or like party or do like anything in my high school. Like I literally, like that was like my whole life was like, okay, like you're eating healthy, you're waking up early, you're going to the gym, like you're on a very set schedule. And especially coming here, like I joined a sorority, and I'm like, this is like fun. Like I can have like a million best friends. Like, oh my god, like I like the same, you know what I mean? Like because of the hockey team, it almost like I lost my team, and then I kind of gained like so much more. I feel like the stereotype in Texas is very like, and the South, you know, the stereotype for like sororities and like fraternities, like it's kind of scary. And so I kind of assumed that. And so definitely coming here, like I feel like I've kind of like grown a lot as a person, but also I'm still so naive to like so many things, because I feel like I really am starting to like almost kind of expand into almost like what you would call like normal life, I guess, because I feel like, I mean, even me and my best friends, we're all going through the same thing, which is kind of cool because we all can like talk about from far away. Like one of my best friends, she's playing hockey at Suffolk University, and the other one's playing at Lake Forest, and so both of them are like, oh my god, like it's just like we're all playing hockey, but it's like now we're in college and we're far away, and like it's definitely cool, and it's kind of like a cool thing to kind of see like a different side of like, I feel like it's like life. Like I don't really know. Like it's kind of just like seeing a different side of like who you can be and what you can do.
I relate to that very deeply. Would you consider yourself a late bloomer?
I would, yeah.
I very much would too, to where, I'm very much, like I'm in the same boat of not really enjoying things other people did for a very long time. I was very stunted by COVID as well, and that very much held me back. Like I didn't come to Quinnipiac until my third year. I transferred in last year, and now I'm kind of coming along to a lot of things that were very like foreign to me beforehand, and I feel like in a lot of ways like my life started last year, so to speak. Like, I'm experiencing so many different things, and I feel like you're on a very similar boat, and that's very profound things. I do feel like late bloomers kind of have a different feel to them because they know both sides, so to speak, of kind of like growing kind of differently. If that makes any sense.
No, that makes sense. I felt like that's definitely like the perfect way to describe it, because I feel like it's definitely like you kind of like figure everything out, but I feel like it's almost like I wouldn't trade it for anything. So I feel like the things I missed out on in like high school, like doing that kind of stuff, I feel like I grew and developed so much more in so many other areas, especially with hockey, and I feel like with my life too, that I feel like now it's nice because now I can feel a sense of like a little bit of normalcy, so to speak. But it definitely is like that kind of thing where it's like a late bloomer and you finally kind of come here, and it was definitely like eye-opening. It was like very much a shock for me coming in, being from Texas, being, oh my gosh, so incredibly cold. It's ridiculous. I was like dying my freshman year, and I'm already like complaining about being cold like now, like, and it's been like what, like a month and a half, like not even that long. It hasn't been that long, but no, honestly, like especially going through all that, and then like having that like, oh my god, like this is crazy, like you can like do so many, there's so much stuff like to figure out and to do, and I feel like I was like so sheltered for so long. I was like so like, no, I would never do that, like no, I'm gonna sit and like study, and I'm not gonna like do anything, and I'm not gonna join a sorority. That's crazy. Like I remember having a conversation with someone on my hockey team. She was asking me like, are you gonna join a sorority in college? Like are you gonna do that? Like, and I'm like, no, I would never. No, I'm only doing hockey and school, and that's what I'm there for. And I feel like I kind of like took that leap of faith, and I kind of, my cousin actually, she was in a sorority here, and she graduated in 2017, and she was like, no, do it, try it. Like you can always drop out of the process, just do it, try it. And I think it's like one of my favorite things here at Quinnipiac that I do, and I'm like involved in. And so it's definitely, it's good to see both sides, because I feel like you definitely like both, but it's like, it's kind of a weird thing, I feel.
Yeah, I would say finding love and finding new experiences are the two best things in life. Yeah. And that's really the goal of life, is to always grow, but to always do new things. And I feel like you're on the right track for that. And I think it also leads us well into our next topic, which is, what's one thing you love and one thing you strongly dislike?
Oh my gosh. I guess going off the weather, I really love like the leaves. 'Cause in Texas, like, I was like scared when I showed up here. Like y'all's trees are like 4 times the size of our trees. Like our trees are much shorter.
You hit me with the y'all.
Y'all.
I'm happy.
I get made fun of all the time. Like everyone, like, especially like if I'm just talking, and if there's bigger people, like I'll say y'all, and I'm like y'all. I'm like, yeah.
Y'all.
Like I say it all the time. Like, I don't even think about it. It's
very
like,
subtle,
like,
y'all.
It's very subtle, y'all. It's
yeehaw.
Like, yeehaw. Yeehaw. Then when I remember this summer I was home, and I'm used to like being the only person saying y'all, because obviously like y'all don't say y'all. I mean, that's a good way to say it, but like y'all don't say y'all. And literally I was like, I worked as a lifeguard, and so they were basically just like everyone was saying y'all, and everyone was like being so nice and sweet and everything. I was like, oh my god, this is crazy. Like
paradise. Yeah.
Everyone's like me now. Like now I don't feel like an oddball. But yeah, no, I love like it's so pretty here. I definitely love like appreciating because our leaves like I told you, it's a very mild, like we're very mild temperate, so it's like 70s all year. Like not all year. It gets to like 90s and 100s in the summer. That's a little brutal. But definitely like on Christmas it can be like maybe like 40, maybe 30. That night you wake up the next morning, it's like 70. And you're like fine. Like,
it's a white Christmas. It's 30 degrees.
Exactly. It's like, oh nice. And then wake up, it's like 70. You're like, yeah, I can go outside and like, you know, not even need like a sweatshirt. You can wear sweatpants and, you know, whatever and walk outside. And it's nice. But I definitely love seeing that. And I love like being up here because I feel like it's such a different experience, especially with like the fact that I can hop on a train. First of all, we don't have public transportation. That was a new thing to me. We do not have that in Texas.
Interesting.
I feel like it's not a great thing. I mean, in Austin, we just don't, we don't have subways or anything like that because we have like limestone, so you can't like drill into it. It's like very expensive. But we just don't have like, everybody just drives. I feel like everything is way more spread out, so people are just like driving. Because it's like, to get to the train station, that's gonna like, I mean, it would be like, okay, pay like a $30 Uber just to get there.
Yeah.
And take a train. It's like, is that worth it? And we do have one, but like we have one metro system, like one train, and it's like it kind of goes on the outside of the city, but like just there and back. Like it's very minimal. But yeah, I definitely like that. I can just take a train, go to New York City, visit my grandma and like my whole family, and I just love seeing like the different culture. Like, I didn't know what the bacon, egg, and cheese was. I had no idea. And I literally showed up here, and I remember, I think we're going to, also we don't have Dunkin' either.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've had Dunkin' in my life, because obviously, like, my dad, being from Queens, like, obviously, we came to visit constantly, because my whole family's up here. So we'd always get Dunkin', but we never get, like, anything of them, like, okay, get a Boston cream donut, that's it. And, I remember going with, do you remember Kayla Verdi?
I know the name.
You know the name, yeah. So she was in comm too, so we were really close. She's actually doing an internship right now. It's really cool.
Awesome.
But yeah, I'll have to tell her that I shouted her out.
Yeah.
But no, yeah. Basically, like, I remember we were going, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I'll have bacon, egg, and cheese." I'm like, "What is that? Like, that's like normal for you guys?" And yeah, so it's definitely cool seeing the new culture, because I feel like mine is so different at home, and kind of like coming here and seeing all that, like it's really, really cool. And I feel like it's such like people say like, oh, do you want to study abroad? I'm like, I am studying abroad. Like this is my study abroad. Like this is a different culture and like crazy different climate and like everything. But I feel like one thing I dislike, especially, this will just be funny, but I hate the cold. That's one thing I have not gotten used to.
The duality
of it, exactly. But honestly, like, I don't know, I feel like it's, to some degree, it's kind of like it's almost like sometimes it's nice to be like the only person like me, because then I get to like feel special. That makes sense. But I feel like that's the one thing that I really like don't really like, is being like, I have no one like me around, if that makes sense. So like obviously no one's gonna like watch the UT game with me, and I have no one to like, you know what I mean, horns up, exactly. But I have no one to like be as intense about football as me, and like all this like crazy stuff. And that's just like a random example, but there's just, I don't feel like as at home, if that makes sense. So like all my friends and everybody, like things are just so different because the people are so different, because like the cultures are just like opposite. But I feel like it's the one thing where sometimes it kind of gets to me, where, you know, especially this weekend, everyone gets to go home, and I'm like, no, I'm
so
here.
Far, yeah,
like my whole entire suite is gone. I'm like, yeah, I'm here, great, fun. But no, I mean, I feel like it's gotta be the only thing I hate about up here. But honestly, like, I still love it though, because I still see my family, because they're obviously so close, and we visit like all the time. Like, we'll be like, my cousin will text me like, oh, let's go drive to like Nona's, and let's go, and like it's really cool, especially because back at home there's not many, like, it's not very diverse in Austin. Like, it is to a certain extent, but like not really. Like I didn't really know many of like Italian people, because my grandparents are from Italy, and so they're like very, very Italian. And so definitely, like, I grew up like very, very, like, kind of in that kind of realm. And, like, my dad, like, we'd make pastries together all the time. Like, we'd make our own pasta, like, all this kind of stuff. And so that's one thing that's actually very nice about being up here is, like, oh, that's other Italians. Like,
there's a lot
just
of
like
them.
me. Like,
New Haven pizza.
Oh, yeah.
New York.
No, our pizza is terrible. Oh, my God. In Texas, oh, my God. We have Papa John's.
Yeah.
Papa John's, and then we have, like, oh, my God. The pizza is just so mid. Like, just so terrible. Like, I remember being obsessed with dining hall pizza the first, like, month. I was like, oh, my God, it's so good. Then I realized there's even better pizza.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like this is, like, not even the best they
so
have
close
here.
by, yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. I'm from North Haven, so I've experienced it.
Nice.
All the best pizza.
Yeah.
I'll give you a horns up out of respect. Is this the correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Like
the
that?
horns up, yeah.
Horns up?
Yeah, horns up.
Perfect. Random thought. You must have been a fan of Twisters, the movie.
Yes. Big fan. Big fan.
Awesome. Fun fact, I was able to go to the premiere of it
when
I was in Los Angeles.
That's
I
so
was,
cool.
a little fan. I was front row of the fan section, so I got to see Glenn Powell and all of them coming in.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
So yeah, that was a cool experience. There's the Ryan Zicast Don't Mention You went to the Twisters Premiere Challenge. I failed at a lot, but I feel like that's something you would resonate with because that's a very, very Texan movie.
Oh yeah, also Glenn Powell, he did like go to the same school district as me.
Really?
He did. He grew up in the same school district. He went to a school like 25 minutes away from me. So it's cool. So he goes to all the UT games. So like, yeah, Glenn Powell.
He does.
They made like Matthew McConaughey. He's just casually there. Like they're big fans. But no, it was really cool. I mean, we don't have tornadoes like that, especially like in my area. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like that's more like, I don't even know what part of Texas, but not my part of Texas, and not like many. Like, I feel like it's definitely kind of either down like Mexico and that kind of border, and it's a lot of tornadoes like down there in like Oklahoma. But no, it was so cool. No, me and my brother went to see it, and we were like, oh my God, it's just like so cool. Like we like loved it, and obviously like he loves any Glenn Powell movie, so we were like, yeah, let's go see it. But yeah, all my friends at home like they won't stop like quoting it all the time and all this stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah, I have a Tornado Wrangler shirt from the premiere back in my dorm.
Good.
Round them up. So now moving onwards, I'd also like to ask you some of your hopes and dreams professionally or in general.
Yeah, so I've talked about it, so I definitely want to go into sports broadcasting. I feel like I've really struggled with kind of what I want to do with my life, especially like kind of throughout high school, and I think especially one thing that I wanted to like, because obviously I was always like, when I was younger, like I was like, okay, I want to become a professional hockey player, because I just never wanted to leave the world of hockey, because it was like, I'm obsessed with it. Like, I've been upset for the past day. The Islanders lost yesterday. It was terrible. The Utah Hockey Club, I could talk about it for like ever. But no, yeah, so I just kind of wanted to stay in the hockey, like in the hockey world. And so one way that I realized I could do this is through sports broadcasting. And so it's cool. So I would want to work like in the NHL or for the NFL. And so, or MLB, honestly. Anything other than like, I feel like soccer, I don't understand soccer enough to do that, won't lie. I just really don't. But no, so I feel like I definitely want to work like primarily for the NHL. So I feel like I never want to leave that world. I feel like especially it's just so special to me. And so I'm hoping to get like some nice internships and maybe work for the Islanders, maybe the Dallas Stars, either one. I did play Dallas Stars Elite, so I feel like I have to I have a little connection with that. I feel like, hey guys, I played, like, let me come intern. But yeah, no, so I definitely want to kind of go down that route. I'm really excited for that. I think especially either going to like sports broadcasting or doing like anything with kind of producing or kind of in the world of like either social media or something, just staying like in the NHL realm. I feel like would be like really cool. And so that's one thing where I'm just like, I'm doing that. I feel like because it's also such a stressful, I feel like career path. Like it's just like, okay, well, one person can do it. Like one person can be sitting behind that desk, like primarily, and it's like, okay, and how many people want to do it? Like there's just so many. But I'm hoping out of Quinnipiac, I'm gonna do my master's here. I'm in 3+1. I'm hoping after that I can kind of make it, kind of dive into the sports field, especially like with the NHL, and just get some sports broadcasting. I'm hoping.
So you're an Islanders fan.
I am.
What are you? Are you a Texans fan?
Cowboys
fan.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Unfortunately. Why unfortunately?
They're just so disappointing. It's like every year you watch them, and my dad, he was a Jets fan, which not
even
great,
more
not,
unfortunate.
Even more unfortunate, but living in Austin for the past, like, oh my gosh, like 25 years, now he's a Cowboys fan, obviously, because everybody, like, everyone is a Cowboys fan. Like, everybody. And so he's, like, really big on that, and they get so far, and look at the playoffs, and they just choke every single time. Like, you'll have a hopeful season, you're like, oh my god, Dak Prescott, you're doing so great this year, and then it'll hit you, they'll choke immediately, and it's just like, okay, well, next year, hopefully, maybe. But yeah, it's kind of like a cycle of disappointments, and I feel like we're the most hated franchise out of, like, anybody, I feel. I feel like it's been, like, a big thing for, like, a while.
The America's Team moniker kind of puts a target
on
their backs in a lot of ways.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I would say that the Texans are on the up if you want to be a contrarian.
True. I could be. Yeah.
In your area. Not putting that thought in your head. I'm just
yeah,
posing
exactly.
it. And do you have any personal goals?
Yeah, honestly, I'm trying to think of it now. I think especially going on, like, I think it's been so rewarding. This is almost professional, but it's still really personal. I feel like just pushing for, like, women's advocacy. I feel like I did it a lot. Like, I ended up founding, like, a newsletter for my club at the time, and back in Dallas, it was, like, for my team, so there's only one for the men's, and so basically they didn't give us one. They had, like, it was just, like, different amenities that they got we didn't get, and it's still, like, it sucks. There's still kind of those stereotypes, especially, like, in women's hockey, because it's hockey. It's not, like, the most feminine sport, I'd say. But yeah, and I ended up starting a newsletter, and that was kind of, I founded that, and then I wrote for that for a couple of years, and I'm not there anymore, so I hope they're still doing it. So I kind of passed the torch, but I hope they're still doing it now, but yeah, and then obviously working with, like, younger girls, and especially coaching them, because I kind of grew kind of as they grew. And so it's really, like, it's just so rewarding. It was kind of like being a big sister. And I feel like advocating for them and, like, helping them and kind of teaching them what someone didn't teach me at that age is just so rewarding. And so I feel like personally, like, I definitely would want to stay in that kind of realm of just advocating for women, especially young women, especially, like, for my team. So I think we're in a partner for kind of to do some, like, community service, like, with a local women, like a kind of like a local youth league, and kind of work with, like, their young girls and kind of, like, host, like, a little, like, you know, skate with us, like a little camp or something, and so we can kind of give back, because I feel like it's been so important for me for so long. And it wasn't even something that I, like, sat there and I was like, I want to be a women's advocate, like, I want to do that. It kind of just, like, fell into my lap, especially through my experiences, like, just through everything. It kind of got thrown at me, and I feel like it's been, like, such a big part of who I am now, and it's, like, led to so many of, like, the things that I've done. And I mean, with the team that I founded, and then with, like, newsletter, and with, like, the girls that I've coached and all this kind of stuff, like, I feel like it's definitely such a big part of me. It's taught me so much. So I really want to continue to do that. I'm trying to, like, find my next step and see, like, what I can do.
Interesting. Those who seek power are often unfit to yield it. That's a quote from Dune. to hit you with something. You're saying that it kind of fell upon you. And you are really that great role model and advocate. It also kind of reminds me of how we're kind of in the Caitlin Clark era.
We are.
Of women's sports being very much more popularized and very much more in the mainstream of people's conversations. I know that's why I was hesitant to bring her up, because I know she's basketball and hockey, but you also helped to find the women's club basketball team, so I feel like it kind of is on par in this conversation.
I know, so it's honestly great, because the PWHL, it was just founded, like, almost, I think, I'm trying to remember now, it's got to be like 2 or 3 years ago at this point. It was a while ago, but basically they finally made a women's hockey league, professional women's hockey league, and it's, like, it's great. Like, it's definitely, like, now that we live in a world where, like, this is a thing, and, like, people are fans, and people are, like, selling out stadiums to go watch, and it's actually, like, feeling popular. Like, people want to go, people want to be fans, and now we're seeing these people, like, from the Olympics and actually coming out, and it's like, okay, well, now you're not only wearing, like, a Canadians jersey and playing in, like, the World Juniors, the Olympics, like now you're like, I can see you like playing on a team, you know what I mean? Like, and now you actually like can do this for a living, and it's honestly like, it's so rewarding. So I remember being that little girl and like wanting to obviously play hockey my entire life, and being there and seeing like, oh, I can't do that if like I don't have that like opportunity for me. And so I think that's like so like great. I think that's so huge. And especially, I don't know if you heard about it, but because obviously you're not a big hockey fan, but we actually had the first like female coach. So the first female assistant coach for the Seattle Kraken. So she actually ended up being one of my best friend's coaches when she was younger, when she played in, I think, Chicago. Wow. I think it was. I could be wrong. I don't know where this team is. I think it's like the Young Americans, but I think they rebranded. But it's like crazy, like that. These opportunities are now like coming upon women, and it's honestly like really cool to see. And I feel like it's something that like I really want to add to. And I feel like I've like pushed to so far, but I feel like I want to keep going with it, because I feel like it's just been like I've gotten so much out of it, and it's so rewarding to do it, especially like, I mean, even with women's basketball, that like I'm not really getting anything out of that for starting that team, but like I feel so great being able to like give them that opportunity, and like that my hard work did that for them. And so yeah,
very much so. You know, women's sports are on the rise when you have dudes arguing in the comment sections.
Exactly.
Of like, you'll see like, I don't know, Angel Reese's field goal percentage, and you'll have dudes arguing about it. I'm like, this is how you know that the women's sports are thriving, when you have people yelling at each other about
now
it.
They can like sports bet on it. Like that's like, it's big.
Yeah.
No, yeah. There's like so much controversy with that. I feel like, because it's a whole argument where it's like, oh, who's better than I feel like it's just so great that like people actually seeing these athletes and seeing that like more than their gender, and seeing their actual skill. Because I think she like, oh my gosh, didn't she like break or tie like Steph Curry's like, I think it was like 3-point record?
Caitlin Clark, you're referring to?
Yeah, Caitlin Clark, yeah.
I know she's the NCAA's all-time leading scorer, regardless of gender.
Yeah, because I think she beat Steph Curry for that. I think that's what it was. I could be wrong.
It's Pete Maravich. Pete Maravich was the NCAA's all-time leading scorer.
Oh, wow.
And then Caitlin Clark surpassed him in her final season.
That's crazy.
But yeah, women's sports are real when you can bet on, when you can lose money on them. If you can lose money on it, it's
My
real.
My friends are already losing money on them. Oh god, sports betting is ridiculous.
Yeah,
oh gosh.
It is unreal. The amount of conversations I enter where people are talking about parlays. When I hear about your parlay, my brain will check out of the conversation, because I do not care what people are betting on.
Exactly, yeah.
The game.
No, it's just crazy. It's like not worth it. It's like insane.
Yeah. But you know what isn't real? Movies. I'd like to ask you, what are some of your favorite movies?
Oh my gosh. I honestly have way too many to count, but my all-time favorite movie, and I have a funny story to go along with this, is Dodgeball.
I love Dodgeball. That's my older brother's favorite movie.
Oh, really?
So it's one of the movies I've seen the most in my life because of that.
Yeah. No, me and my dad, like, we loved it. Watched it all the time growing up, like crazy. I'd say that, and then Deadpool. Deadpool 2, though. That was my favorite.
Interesting.
I really like that movie. That's been, like, I've seen it so many times. It's like, crazy. But, it's funny because my, like, obviously I played intramural hockey until we could actually, like, get, because intramural is, like, you can kind of just sign up, like, with your friends, and I played, like, intramural dodgeball, intramural flag football, intramural hockey, like, so many different, like, crazy sports that I didn't even know they had. I think we were doing, like, pickleball at one point, like, just crazy. And so it started with dodgeball. My intramural team was Average Joe's. And so we were Average Joe's dodgeball, and we did terrible. We did not win in that league. It was, like, I think it was, like, September of, like, last year, and it was fun, but we just were not good. But now we're, like, Average Joe's hockey, and we, like, won the intramural championship last year at the end of the year, spring semester, and, like, everyone went crazy, like, oh, my God, Average Joe's. And no, yeah, it's definitely, like, my favorite movie. Like, I've watched it way too many times. Like, I need to take a break. Like, I'll watch it again in, like, maybe a couple months. Like, I've been watching it too much recently, because all the plane rides, like, I just have, like, them all queued up and all my movies, and, oh, yeah.
Second LaFleur.
Exactly.
It's funny you say it, because I was going to compare you to Average Joe's, like, finding a team, like, very, like, kind of bringing people together. It's kind of like ragtag crew and saving the day. because it is, the greatest underdog story. That is the tagline of dodgeball.
Exactly.
So I feel like it is very fitting for you.
Yeah, I feel like this was a very underdog story.
Mm.
No, we were just like, we were definitely just told no a lot. Like, it was like, no. I think at one point they were like, if you can come up with $300,000, sure. I'm like, what am I gonna do? I don't think I can make that. I don't think I can, pull that out. But no, it definitely was like, I remember like we were so happy, and then we were like, obviously professional, like, thank you so much. Like, we really appreciate this. And we ended up like FaceTiming a 3-face after, and be like, oh my God, this is crazy. And we were like all like screaming, and I was like screaming to my mom and dad, like, oh my God, like it finally happened. Like, they finally gave us the team, because at that point I was so like, I don't know if I want to, like, it was kind of a situation where I had like Michigan on the table. Like, I visited in February, and I already had that, like, I had that little acceptance letter, and so I was like, because I knew it was wrong. Like, I definitely knew that, like, I cannot put athletics over academics, but I think it was just because, like, it was almost that pride. It was almost that pride of, like, okay, my teammates are playing hockey. Okay, I need to be playing right now. Like, I need to be, like, on a good team. Like, I need to be successful. Like, because success only came from, like, hockey for so, like, and kind of the culture that I feel like I grew up in, like, with that hockey world. It's like, if you're successful in hockey, then you're successful, like, in life. And it's like, if you don't do well, then, like, that's, like, the end of the world. Like, if you make have a bad game, like, that's, like, you're just, like, crap. Like, it's just, and so basically, it was my pride. I was like, no, I gotta. So I was, like, so ready to just say, like, okay, and transfer, and I'm so glad I didn't, because we finally got that team, and it was such, like, a relief to finally be like, okay, finally. Like, okay, now everything has, like, come together. All the pieces of the puzzle have, like, come together, because for the longest time I thought I wanted to go to, like, a big school, and then now it's, like, maybe I like a smaller school. Like, it's kind of cool. Like, it's definitely a little different. Like, I feel like because it's kind of like my high school. It's the same. I mean, obviously Quinnipiac's bigger, but it's like, it kind of feels that way, especially in our different, like, school everyone really knows each other, that kind of stuff. And I think that's cool, though, that, like, we all know each other. And we all can, like, if I have a question, like, with something on, like, if I'm working in the Mac lab and I don't know how to use, like, like, Premiere or something like that, like, someone can help me, and I know them, and you never, like, feel alone. Like, you always see somebody you know.
Yeah, it's a great point. Yeah, Quinnipiac does have a very tight-knit community in certain fields. Like, I feel like communications, you kind of know everybody because you're in classes with them.
Yeah.
So you're friendly with them. So that very much helps you in your experience. And I really like how you highlighted that you kind of found more than hockey while still being very hockey-centric.
Yeah.
You found more of a balance. I feel like that's very important to life. And I also just think that that's a great way to kind of round things out. And I wanted to thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Do you have anything you'd like to leave the audience with before we wrap things up?
I'd say just don't give up. It's, like, the most, like, cliche thing ever. But I feel like don't settle for having anything less. Because I feel like it was definitely so hard to not do that. And it's definitely a feeling that I feel like everybody has. But shoot for more than you think that you can achieve. I feel like that's my best advice.
And that's great advice. And Gabby, overall, you kick ass. This was very, very inspiring to learn about. And you have a very fascinating life coming from Texas to here, doing all these interesting things, being such a great voice. And I'm very excited to see where you go, where the team goes, and how you're able to, what you're able to accomplish in your time here. And I want to thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah.
And I'll be watching of you and your team and what you all accomplish.
No, thank you so much for having me. This is such a great opportunity.
Of course, thank you. And as always, this is Ryan Zicast with the Zicast, where everyone has a story, signing off. Thank you so much for watching.